start over. There we go.
Moses, post a story, make it glow. Fly laughs add sparkle to the snow.
Okay, come on. We can do it. There we go, little buddy. It's Tuesday, not Monday. Good morning. Good morning. It is something here to Fly and Mo. Internet's slow this morning. It's okay. I'm slow this morning, too. Good.
Find your
That's all
voice.
Good morning, Scott. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. It is Social Scourge with Fly and Mo, our last episode for Christmas. I have no idea if we're coming together on next Tuesday.
Next week? We just didn't know. We're in charge.
I'll be in San Diego. Who knows?
We should not. We should
not
have a.
I'm making you do it while you're on vacation. So I mean, like,
technically, yes, I am on vacation. I am at Maison du Fromage in Minneapolis. But like, you know, I'm working today.
Working
I'm
today.
pulling the plug.
It is Social Search with Fly and Mo. I'm Mo Regalato. Over there is Miss Fly Jamerson, and we are coming to you on this episode right before Christmas. And Caprick Craig.
I got my Caprick Craig swag.
Woo!
It's solid. I was on a call with someone yesterday, and like a being blasted to the whole office because of a headphone situation. And so I was like, "Merry Christmas, everyone! Look at my sweater." It's good.
Hilarious.
It's a conversation starter. Gets
I
people
love it.
going.
I love it. Good morning to Miss Holly Pennington, who's joining us over on the gram, as well as Regalato Real Estate. Appreciate you guys being here. Today, we are talking about all things metadata and meta tags and video. So last week, hold on. We got a message from Mr. Alan Buchanan.
Hello.
Good morning and very Merry Christmas to you too. We got last week when we were talking with Kyle and Sarah. If you have not watched that episode, highly recommend you go back, watch it. Very good information about Google. Kind of got us into this whole Google rabbit hole about metadata and video and all this stuff. And so today we knew that we wanted to do a show on talking about that and how to make sure that your videos are discoverable in 2026. So one of the things he talked about specifically was the fact that Google is now indexing videos. And I'm sure they've always done this, but it seems like it's more of a priority than it ever has been before. So what does that mean? Your content needs to be indexable. That means it needs to be found by the search engines, by the answer engines, by all the engines, right? It has to be found. You can't do that if your shit's private. Just saying, like if your LinkedIn profile's private or you have it only to connections, your content is not indexable. If your Instagram profile is private and you use it for business, it is not as far as I know, it is not indexable because obviously you have to be able to see it. So one of the things we're going to be going over today is how do you index video? How do you get that information found by the search engines, by the answer engines? But Fly had a really, really good tweet that she shared with me by Bodie Local. It's I Rent Dumpsters.
I love it. I love all the, it's like seeing somebody's username. You're like, yeah, username checks out. No, I mean, look, when I saw the show outline for today, I was really excited because especially now with all the conversations about like the development of tools and all these things, like it can be, it's actually quite simple what you need to do, but the sort of the veil behind, like that it's sitting behind in terms of like, how do we actually need to think about this? How can we actually implement this is like one of your great strengths, I think, and like being that conduit for, the people who are wanting to be found. I will never be not surprised by brokers who are like, I don't want people to find me. I'm like, bro, what?
I know. Right.
But like on my X feed, I will see a lot of, just like little tidbits of things that come up. And so this was, talking about a development, again, Google My Business, Google business profiles. We've been talking about this a lot lately because it really, how Google is organizing, parsing and then also presenting information is going to change how people find you and what they find of you, right? And so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just like the way that Google is parsing information from websites, from content, from reviews is all being put into the AI summaries that are coming up. And so, as you're thinking about, we're going to dive deep into video today on this, but like there are many different channels through which Google now is like digesting and presenting the information. So this is one way, that we can start to think about this, but I anticipate that you and I will continue to, give updates and how-tos on this throughout 2026.
Right. I'm actually looking for, I'm hoping that one of the episodes that we'll be able to do in the future is about the relevancy score. This was another little earworm that Kyle had mentioned and that I've also heard mention across different platforms. Thanks, Dr. Fromage, for joining us over on the gram, as well as Eric Oden. We appreciate you being here. We're talking about Google and video. Cindy Bankstein, thanks for joining us over on the gram. We've used the word relevancy score before when we've talked about algorithms. It actually originally heard it on Facebook. Facebook gave you a relevancy score. Good morning, DB. Glad to have you over here on LinkedIn. And the relevancy score on Facebook had to do with likes, comments, shares. It also had to do with whether or not somebody took your content and disliked it or said, I don't want to see that. So all algorithms have a relevancy score. We don't actually hear a lot about it, especially as platforms try to keep their proprietary data proprietary. Right?
Yeah.
So was it a couple years ago? It already feels like maybe, I think it was a couple years ago where the X algorithm was right. Remember that? Like that was huge.
They're so open about it. I love it. It's like complete opposite of Link. Like LinkedIn is like, we're not going to tell you. We're not going to do it.
Tell you.
And it's like has this like air of exclusivity where it's like, well, I know somebody at LinkedIn and they said this, and it just all becomes like a big rumor mill. I am not for it. X is like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. And poor Nikita too is just like
on X, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, that's what I appreciate is that, like, if I know that this is going to happen, then I can build my strategy based off of that. Or if I look at it and I'm like, that's not really relevant to me, then that's fine. But as we're talking about video discovery, 2026 is going to be huge for video. Sean Maxey, CRE broker, thanks for joining us over on the gram. So Google search is no longer text-based. We've talked about this with websites. If you have a website that is heavily picture-based, or you have videos up there that do not have the alt text added to that, that's a little information on all of those pictures and videos on there, then Google is not actually reading that on your website. It's just a big blob of nothing to them, right? So we're kind of, even on social media, you should be putting alt text. Am I guilty of not putting alt text? Abso-freaking-lutely. It is one of the things I hate doing. It's just an added extra step that is, should I be doing it? Yes. Yes, I should be. Why? Because there's ADA compliance challenges and issues with that. So Adults with Disabilities Act. Should you be putting alt text? Yes, you should be. Same thing about your website. Your website needs to be readable through e-readers, which is why there's Accessibility, I think is what it's called. Maybe it's not. No, it's Accessibility. We have it on our website. It helps e-readers go across so that they can actually read a website, right? And they can, the e-reader can speak it out loud to whoever needs to have that happen for them. There's also other things with regard to like contrast on websites. There's a whole bunch of things. I digress. Of course, I'm digressing. But your content needs to be readable to be indexable. So if you have a video that goes out, it doesn't have captions, it doesn't have a description, Google can't do anything with that, right? So what we're finding out is that Google is reading captions on videos. So that's fascinating to me. So if you don't have, like, we're constantly putting captions on. Like that's like the major portion of me and Fly's job at this point is captioning videos. And taking the transcripts and then and using that. And if you don't label your video, Google is going to label it for you, and they're usually going to label it wrong. And as a side note, Instagram is also taking content and creating their own metadata and titles. And it's like 100% clickbait, like 100%. It has like a lot of the titles that Instagram is putting up, and this has nothing to do with Google. At least Google says it's not them. And Instagram's like, we're working with what we got. You know, they don't care. They're just putting stuff up there. And so like you could have a picture of a building and it could have something salacious as the title, which is great, I suppose.
Yeah, highly recommend.
But if your client sees that and they're like, why is this called a whorehouse? This isn't a whorehouse. It's an office building, right? Like, I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm trying to recall a series of tweets that were about like an adult hotel that was being sold earlier this year. But we digress. No, but it's just like that. Yeah. What I think is interesting about, instead of this just being another task to check off, or like even, and honestly, this is just going to sound how it sounds, but like it just anecdotally, like there is very low motivation for people to want to change their, or like to do all the ADA stuff, or like to make it accessible and all this kind of stuff. Right. There, even though there is a lot of value in that, but I think like the idea that there are things that you can do to optimize your content so that it can be more interpretable and applicable by, essentially machine reading and viewing and interpretation, right? Like the, AI and search and all these platforms and video and metadata and all these things, like they are things that are standing in between you and the people that you are trying to reach. And if like to put in the information, the thing I think people also like, they get sort of skeeved out. They're like, how am I supposed to do this? And what am I supposed to do? You have created such like a practical step-by-step breakdown. And like, when you look at what it is, it's very straightforward. That's the thing is like the thing about the machines is that like there's not subtext, there's not nuance, you know what I mean? Like it's very much fact of the matter, right? And like this, like to be clear, like, and we always say, like we had a whole conversation about like nobody is searching for, rainmakers near me, like all the synergistic buzzwords and all the posturing and all of the the corporate theater, right? Of just like, you got to say things in a certain way to be acceptable to people. Machines don't care about that. Machines don't care about that. They want to know who you are, what you do, what this is about, who you serve, who you're trying to reach, blah, 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 right? And so it's like, if you have been working, on your value proposition, on your targeting and all of these things inside of, your brand awareness and your messaging, you are like 100% ahead of the game here, because that is exactly kind of the stuff that you've identified as what you need to put in to your metadata.
Right. So to break it down super simple for everybody who's listening, Google's going to use metadata to understand what the video is about, who it's for, where it applies, and when to surface it in search or AI answers, right? So if your title is your topic, primary topic, your description has your context and relevance, you have tags and keywords, those are supporting signals. You have transcripts or captions. And then the file name is the first thing that Google sees. So if you have a file that just says image _ 1094.move or .mp4, it doesn't know what the hell that is, right? The other thing that you need to think about is your thumbnail and what is happening on the thumbnail, because it's going to read the thumbnail too, more than likely. Metadata is introducing your video to Google before it even meets a viewer, right? Yeah. So Google is the first viewer of your video, but the only way Google can view your video is if you have proper metadata put in there, proper descriptions. So we're going to walk you through step by step how you should optimize video. So again, as I mentioned, name the file correctly. Correct? Like, and this is like, if you're doing the video yourself, CRE broker, or if you have your staff, your admin, your video helper who's over in India helping you, no shade on that. Do what you need to do. I think it's fabulous. Get a good one, right? There's some bad ones. But you have to tell them how they have to, the onus is on you to get them to do it properly. So instead of having the video titled, like I said, like image_1904.mp4, if you are doing retail leasing in Dallas and it's a market update, it should say Dallas retail leasing market update Q4.mp4, right? Google can read that. Google will read that file name, and it is the first context clue that Google has that, oh, hey, this is for Dallas. It's retail leasing. Market update, Q4. You didn't even put your name in there, right? Now, there are some naming conventions that I will say sometimes you can't do like a super long ass name. Like the file name can't be super long. Sometimes your computer will be like, nope, you ran out of characters. I'm sorry. In fact, I don't know how many characters it is, so I can't tell you that. But the naming convention should be very, very clear. So then after that, so naming, super important. Remember that. If you remember nothing else, remember that naming the file of your video is super important.
What I love about this too is that, once again, not that Google reading a file name is artificial intelligence, but just like when you talk about what intelligence is and like the idea of like language and code and like it's all like pattern recognition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Google not understanding what image, like 804.mov is the same thing as me not understanding what it is, right? So it's like one thing that I do, like when I get a big content dump from a client, is like I do like go through and I look and I'm just like, okay, like this is what this is. And so it becomes indexable for me to like find it, right? And so you should be doing this, highly recommend, across the board, like internally, especially like if you are working with a team, right? Or just even for yourself, because then you're not, just like going back and trying to be like, what was that thing that picture that I took of, right? It's like there are having naming conventions, is just as important for human intelligence. And if you haven't done it and you've got like untitled file, parenthetical 89.png, like that is a great micro thing for you to reconsider and adjust in the new year.
And it's super fast and super like easy to do, right? It shouldn't take a lot of brain power to actually do this, right? To do the right naming convention. So if you need help with naming your files, one topic, one market, use plain language.
Yeah.
One topic, one market, use plain language. I know, and Fly is going to appreciate this because I know that she worked in media as well before. I've had literal, especially audio files, like it'll say like final revision and then send it to the client. And then it'll say final revision.v2, final revision.v2.5. And then by the time you get to it, it's like, this MFer is the final revision. Is the final
There's
revision.
A lot of creative expression that happens in the file names. I've worked with someone who had quite hilarious oh, thanks, it's very holiday. Expressive file names, and like, man, like the file names is a meme, is a whole thing. But
it is absolutely. I would love to have. There's a coffee cup out there that is. It's all it is just file names for audio files, and then like it gets progressively like worse as it gets down to the bottom, and the file name gets longer and longer. And I was like, yes, I have been there with audio files with clients before. This is way too relatable. So as we're talking about video, and if you're just joining us on any of the social platforms, Fly and I are discussing metadata video 2026 Google and what that means for you. We've just discussed that your file names for your videos should make sense. They shouldn't be img_1904.mov or .mp4. Google doesn't know what that means. But if you're very clear and specific as to what that actual video is, Google can actually see that and read it and then index it properly. The next thing we want to discuss is about your descriptions. I see a lot of you making this mistake on a lot of the social platforms where you only have like one sentence for your video. And the sentence has nothing to do with what's going on, which there is a rule of thumb that that's fine, that it makes it easier for people to read. But if you're not capturing that information or you're not providing enough information in that little caption, it's not indexable. Like, what are the search engines going to do with that? A great day at the beach. And it's you showing a hotel in Miami, right? But all you have...
You need to have really, really strong content to get away with that. And what I mean by that is the single line caption is something that you can utilize to like create a textual hook, especially like on a video that like puts another layer. I'm trying to think of an example, but just like puts another layer on top of like what are the immediate things that a human is seeing first. You know, because they're like the human person viewing a video that comes up in their For You feed or like in their regular feed or whatever, you have a visual hook. There's often an overlay text hook, and then there's the caption. And those three things are what people are going to look at in those 3 seconds in which they will decide whether they are going to continue watching or not. But that you have to have a really, really strong video and a strong combination of those 3 things for that to be enough for it to have for it to be able to function and perform well in that environment. But even then, it's not indexable, right? So it's just a very I'm guilty of doing this. It's also, I think, an artifact of like, you know, when social media was not being utilized for business and for search, right? It's an aesthetic thing, right? And so, but to be, you know, when, you know, sometimes people are worried that like, oh, well, I said everything in the video. Why would I put it all in the caption? Do you know how many times I only read the caption and don't watch the video? I mean, that's also a very platform specific thing. That will often happen for me on LinkedIn, you know, especially it's even in the way that, you know, there's a difference in the feed of like on, you know, on LinkedIn mobile, you're getting a video and it's just like, it's showing up like this and the captions down here.
How freaking annoying is that, by the way? How freaking annoying is that? That irritates the crap out of me because I would, just like you, I would rather read the captions than watch the damn video. Like, tell me why I'm going to spend.
I love it when I make you mad. Like, I'm always triggered. No, but then, you know, but you know, LinkedIn on desktop, like you'll get the whole post, and Twitter also too, right? You'll get the text first, right? And so this is one of those things where it's like you have to understand and work within the reality of how the platforms are presenting the material, right? But that isn't entirely. Oh, Corey Zelnick says Merry Christmas to my 2 faves on Instagram. Understanding how a human is experiencing, you know, like the UX and the design of like all of that triangulation of information versus, you know, and to me, that's also very short term. To me, that's very short term thinking. The like longer term, larger scope inside of what, you know, we're talking about, which I think is, you know, is how people should be tooling their content for business, is thinking about how is this going to affect the rest of the ecosystem, where that single line caption is really only about how is this operating on this platform. Does that make sense?
Right. One of my favorite things on Instagram right now, and this is a native upload thing, is that you can actually connect videos in like not necessarily in a series, but like they connect
on YouTube too.
Do they do that on YouTube too on native upload? Okay.
Maybe we're talking about different things, but I don't want to go off on a tangent.
Okay. So it's a fabulous thing that you can do, and it actually helps increase your user experience, as well as, I think, anecdotally speaking, it could also increase views, because now you have recommendations. Like if you would just watch this video, now you can watch this video. Anyway, so your description should be.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Your description should be like mini blog posts. who the video is for, what the problem solves, the market location, and the asset type. Now, if I see somebody literally do that, like this video is for it, this is the problem it solves, this is the market location, this is the asset. I mean, kudos for doing it, but like you have to tell a story, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's like when you see people use the cart method and they're like challenge, but action, but result, but right. It's like, it's a little bit it's not even on the nose. It's like above the nose. It's like,
it's on the forehead.
Yeah. And it's like, but I think that it works to help people organize their thoughts. And I don't know, it doesn't bother me as much because I would rather have them have that information on it, even if it means that it's not as an enriched or narrative of an experience. But like, they gotta start somewhere.
They have to, yeah. So I mean, if you wanted to, and Merry Christmas, Jason Mitchell. Thanks for joining us on Social Search today. In this, so if you need a simple template, you can do in this video, so and so in such and such market breaks down blah 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 blah. This video is for these people who are looking to accomplish this, right? That is something that you can use. That is an easy format for you to start with your video descriptions. If you look at video descriptions for YouTube, you'll find a lot of them in that format, right? And then it goes further down, like, so it breaks it down into, it'll break it down into not episodes, but what are they called? Like particularly on YouTube, when it breaks down the segments, what is that called?
Chapters.
YouTube.
I think YouTube calls it chapters. Yeah. You want to know what I think was a great tool for people to use if they're trying to think about how, and it doesn't always work, but if you upload videos into Google Drive now and click on it and you have Gemini activated, Gemini will give you exactly this.
Yes.
And give you the exact interpretation, and like you could literally, like, if nothing else, you could literally copy and paste that. But that does require you to have like the audio in there, the captions in there, right? That, like, how is it going to arrive at that? But just as an example of, it's a great litmus test too of like, what does Google think this video is? You know what I mean? But I'm the ones, maybe it's just me, but the videos that I have been uploading into Drive have really solid this style of, in this video, this person or these people are talking about this thing with these themes and these points, right? It's doing a really good job.
And that's because, again, as we were saying earlier, we do a lot of captions. Yeah. And we do captions not just for the video itself. Like I actually have my clients voice memo me, and they send me those voice memos. I upload them to our system that we use for doing audio and video editing. And then I take those captions and I create content from their voice out of what they've sent me, right? So it's super important for me to have that, because that is in their true, authentic voice. And so I know that this is coming from them. And then when you take it and you go, okay, was this written by a chat or an AI? It's like, no, this is 100% human written, because it's in their voice. It is exactly what they have said, just adjusted and made to either be more professional or snarky or whatever it is, right? So it depends on how you've built your chats or your GPTs or your gems. Now Gemini has gems, which there was a whole thing that I tagged you quite a few times this past week on Facebook. There's a guy I'm following on there that is fabulous.
Oh yeah, no, right. Yeah, I saw those.
Dude is just like writing theses on how to use Gemini. And I'm tagging both you and What the Heck in those posts, because I'm like, okay, we have to see this for later.
I gotta get back on. I have been seeing so much great stuff about and on Facebook recently. And I was really, I got on Facebook in 2016. I was really back into Facebook when I started in marketing like a couple of years ago. And then I've LinkedIn's been my main. 2026, I feel, is going to be my 10-year turnaround to like get back into Facebook. I think it's happening.
The content that I'm being, so this is a digression, okay? But the content that I'm being fed on my feed has been fabulous. It's stuff that I'm interested in. Not only is it a mix of friends seeing that stuff, but it's where I live. So it's stuff that's happening here locally. It is particularly restaurants, like new restaurants that are popping up here. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to go here. This place looks fabulous. But then also when it comes to just AI and social media, because that's what a lot of what I do, and obviously what I'm interested in. And I'm getting some of these people that I've never seen before, never followed. So I don't have a problem with that, because if I like their content, then I'm going to interact and engage with it. If I don't, then I'm not, right? So, but some of it has been just mind-blowing what people are putting out on Facebook for free when it comes to thank you, Marcy Moneypenny. You are a gift as well.
Wrap me up in a bow. Sorry.
And so anyway, so our digression to Facebook, I agree with you 100%. I think 2026, we're going to see a lot more great content come out on there, and people who are sleeping on it, you shouldn't be. I think it's a great way, especially for a lot of you investors or people who are looking for investors, or you're trying to connect with that target audience that is either selling or buying. Anyway, that could be another episode. Actually, that's probably an episode for 2026.
Yep.
So Fly brought up captions. If you are not adding captions, Google is guessing what you said. So it is absolutely important that you add captions to your videos. On a side note to captions on videos, again, a whole ADA thing, I believe, and I've said this for a couple years, and there are some cases where it's happened, that if you are not ADA compliant with video, if you're not ADA compliant with alt text, if you're not ADA compliant on your website, there's going to be a whole submarket of people who go sue small businesses because they are in violation of ADA. And just because you don't know the law doesn't mean that you don't have to comply with the law, right? So there's going to be people getting, $10,000, $20,000 lawsuits that are small businesses that can't afford that. So just as a side note, if anybody wanted to do a business on the good side, not the bad side, okay, on the good side, not the people suing, but if you wanted to be like, hey, your website needs to be ADA compliant, like, here's how we can help. That would be a business. That would be a side hustle that I would 100% be like, yes. Okay, sorry. I got a little off track about that, but you absolutely need captions. Gemini, Google, all the AIs will read the captions line by line. This is how Google actually hears and views your video, right? Google can't actually do that. They can't actually read and hear your video, but they can if you have captions, right? So have the captions on there. You need to add tags. Tags are super important still. Tags. So we've talked about hashtags. We talked about tags. Hashtags are for discoverability, and they're a way of indexing content. If you look at any social platform, if you look at all social platforms, they are just giant search engines. Do not believe me? Go do a search of retail leasing Dallas. I don't know why I'm hooked on Dallas. Do retail leasing Dallas in any of the search engines and see what comes up. If you're not coming up in your videos, then you're doing something wrong, especially if you have been doing videos or creating content for that very specific niche. They can be market keywords, asset type keywords, role keywords, like I am a principal, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Tags are not going to save a bad video, but they're going to help your video get found.
Yeah. And again, anything that you can do to remove the friction. And really, this is what we're accomplishing with all of these, these changes and these tweaks and these implementations. It's just like, again, removing all the obstacles between somebody who's trying to find you and somebody and like you are the person who can help them, right? And if you, this is just going to sound how it sounds, but it's just like not all of the content that is going to be content that is useful or converts is going to be like viral content or like top of funnel content. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like there's more people. Like every time I have so many conversations with people who are like, I want 1 million followers and I want to go viral. I'm like, sick. That's great. You want that. You can, like, that's the thing that you can do. This is a much more this is an implementation that can help you achieve to solve for transacting and to like create those connections, as opposed to just like I feel like the people who want to go viral are just like trying to spray and pray. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like not like it's not trying to go viral is not a strategy.
Chris
Right?
Okada, I want 1 million followers. Chris Okada, we will help you get there.
Wait, did Chris Okada just say I want to? Oh, hey, hi, Chris. How are you?
If you haven't seen Chris Okada on Owning Manhattan, highly encourage you to go watch that. He is on season 2. And a little bit of tidbit. So the restaurant that he is sitting in with Jade Schenker, I think is her last name. And like Chris, yeah, I think they own that restaurant. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was like the coolest thing, finding out that like the restaurant that they're sitting in, Chris owns it, or he owns the building that it's in. It's just fabulous. Great way of sharing what you can do with commercial real estate. And of course, the whole Bitcoin thing was fabulous too.
Can I just clarify too? Like, I don't think it's bad to want 1 million followers. I just think that wanting that is not a strategy to achieve it, right? Like, to me, I'm just like looking at like, okay, so what are all the building blocks to get there, right? Chris is poised because he has, his personality and his content and his expertise and his clout, right? There's a lot of other things there that are working for him. But also, right, like, and that's why we're here.
His vision, yes. Chris said he owns the property. They're a tenant, which is, again, you cannot buy that kind of earned media. You absolutely freaking can't buy that earned media for both Chris and everybody else who is on the show. I mean, it's huge. It's absolutely huge to have that kind of accessibility, and for people contacting you and going, hey, I saw you on Netflix. I mean, that's a t-shirt. I saw you on Netflix. Chris, there you go. There's another. I saw you on Netflix.
Oh, I just saw the time.
What?
I just realized what time it is.
Yeah, we're going a little long. Okay, so real quick, this applies not just, so what we're talking about today about metadata doesn't just apply to YouTube and all of that stuff. It's LinkedIn video, it's Instagram, captions and metadata, it's website embedded videos, it's Google business profile videos. Every platform feeds Google, it feeds the search engines in some way. Now, while Fly was talking, I was trying to do a search on Visual Capitalist, did a post last week or the week prior about how many website searches Google itself has on a daily basis. I believe I talked about this last week too. It's Google, the top 5 websites, not apps, the top 5 websites that are used on a daily basis. It was Google, Facebook, Amazon, Reddit, and what's the 5th one? I'm missing the 5th one. And I apologize. I can't remember what it is. But again, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Reddit, it'll come to me like 5 hours later. But these are website searches. So these are people like using desktop websites, not an app. And that's huge. It's huge. If you are not, YouTube. Thank you, Chris. Yes, it is YouTube. Duh. It was Google, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit.
Just tuned in.
And Amazon. Yes. So those are the top websites being searched, right? They're being used on a daily basis. If you have a ton of video content and that video content is not indexable, it doesn't have descriptions, you don't have captions, you're just throwing shit into the ether and it's blowing back in your face. Nothing's happening, right? It's not, that was a great analogy. It's just not being found. So if you take, I know I said this before, but if you take nothing away, make sure that your files on your videos are proper. They have like the proper naming convention, as we mentioned before. It should have a name. It should have where you're located. It should be about the niche that you're talking about in that file name so that Google can actually read the file name when it's trying to index that. Don't use vague titles. Don't forget to put on captions. Don't forget to mention the market that you're in. Give it a description. And then last but not least, you should be reposting content, those videos, and changing some of that information out. That's how you get new information. That's how you repurpose content. If you have a butt ton of content on YouTube, highly recommend you go through and go change out all your titles. You don't necessarily, well, and you could change out your thumbnails, your YouTube thumbnails too, because those are being read as well. So go change out titles, go change out thumbnails. If you haven't put descriptions on a bunch of videos that you have on YouTube or anywhere else, go back and do that. And if you don't want to go back and do that, hire somebody to go back and do that. There's plenty of specialists that you can find that are well-versed in YouTube descriptions, YouTube video. There's like a ton of resources that you have that, so you're not spending your time doing that, right? If you're making $100 to $150 an hour, it's not worth it for you to go back and do that. Hire somebody at $15, $20 an hour to do that for you. Just saying.
The other thing I don't see in here is location tagging, and like YouTube has this, like social channels have this, right? It's like where you can,
yes,
put, like this photo, like, gosh, wow, not enough coffee. That's another way that like things are being indexed. If you like, if I post a video and I like geotag it, Baton Rouge or Minneapolis, right? Like it's going to then be categorized in different levels of search as being associated with that location, right? So another way, and again, it's all in the apps, right? So, looking at how all of the different ways that the apps are giving you tools to be found, use them. That's it. That's all I got.
No, that's perfect. And so last but not least, you're going to want to rename the file. The next step is write a clear title, add a description that actually makes sense. It's a story. You need to either do captions, closed captions on those videos. You make sure they have captions, or you turn captions on. The challenge with turning captions on, and I've seen this a lot when people have uploaded like videos with Bob on LinkedIn and they don't have captions on it and they do auto captions, it always spells his last name wrong. It always.
I have had running jokes with people about the various interpretations of Knuckle. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Bobby Knuckles is my favorite, but
Bobby Knuckles.
Knuckles. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Turn captions on and then mention your market as location. Mention your market. That's it. If you need a list, we have an actual list, a PDF list that we can send to you. Either, DM myself or DM Fly. We'll send it to you. Hope is not a strategy. Hoping that your content is found is not a strategy. Making it easier for your content to be found is. All right. Before we leave, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you for being here with us on Social Surge. Fly and I appreciate all of you. And I don't know, are we going to be?
Give it. See you in the new year.
We'll see you in the new year. So we're not doing it next. We're not doing it next week, which is fine because I will be in sunny San Diego. I'll be in San Diego. I just don't know if it's going to be sunny or not. I will be on the beach working, but on the beach, so I don't care. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Mwah. We love you all. Thank you for being here. Have a great one. We'll see you.